My beloved brothers and sisters, the true measure of a believer is not seen in wealth, knowledge, or status. It is seen in how they treat others when no one is watching, and in how they stand for truth when it costs them the most. When we speak about piety, we must begin with sincerity. Because without sincerity, every action loses its value. A heart that is filled with the desire to please people will never find true peace. You see, sincerity in worship means that when you stand before Allah in prayer, your focus is not on who is watching you or what people may think of you, but rather on the one who created you. It means that your charity is given quietly, your good deeds are done humbly, and your service to others is not paraded for recognition. Piety is not about building an image in front of the world. It is about building a relationship with Allah in the quiet corners of your life, where only He sees. Many people struggle with this, and it is natural, because the human ego craves validation. But the truly pious person fights this urge within themselves. They constantly remind their heart, am I doing this for Allah, or am I doing this so that others will praise me? This inner questioning becomes the compass that guides them, helping them purify their intentions time and time again. And the beauty of sincerity is that Allah Himself promises that even if the world does not see your hidden deeds, He will reward you in ways far greater than people ever could. Sincerity also brings about a special sweetness in faith. When you are genuine in your worship, you no longer feel drained by it because you are not acting to impress anyone. Instead, your heart feels lighter, calmer, and more connected to Allah. You begin to notice that even the smallest acts of worship bring you comfort because they are done out of love, not out of show. It is like speaking to someone you deeply care about. You don't need an audience. You don't need applause. You just need that intimate connection. And this is what piety truly looks like at its core. It is not loud, it is not flashy, and it does not demand attention. It is quiet, pure, and deeply rooted in the desire to please Allah alone. A sincere heart is the foundation of piety because without it, nothing else will stand. One of the clearest signs of piety is consistency in prayer. No matter how many good deeds a person does, if their connection with Allah through salah is weak, their foundation is shaky. Prayer is not just a ritual, it is the lifeline of a believer. It is the call that interrupts the chaos of the world 5 times a day, reminding us of who we are, where we are headed, and who truly sustains us. A pious heart understands this and treats every prayer, no matter how short or simple, as a meeting with the Lord of the worlds. Consistency in prayer does not mean perfection. It does not mean that every prayer will be free from distraction or that every moment will feel deeply spiritual. It means showing up again and again, no matter how busy life gets, no matter how heavy the struggles feel. It is about making prayer non-negotiable, the anchor of your day, the constant that keeps you grounded when everything else changes. The pious know that just as their body cannot survive without food, their soul cannot survive without prayer. Think about it. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even at the end of his life, with the weight of prophethood on his shoulders, reminded his followers about prayer. This emphasis tells us everything we need to know. Highest person does not see salah as a burden, but as a privilege, as the moment they can place their worries before Allah and feel a sense of relief. It is not just an obligation, it is a gift. The consistency itself is a sign of love. Just as someone in love will always make time to speak with the one they love, a pious soul always makes time to speak with Allah. Whether it is the desire for wealth, for attention, for lust, or for revenge, the pious recognize that not every desire is to be fulfilled. They understand that true freedom comes not from doing whatever you want, but from disciplining yourself to do what pleases Allah. In a world where desires are constantly being fed, resisting them becomes even more powerful. The pious person does not allow their life to be dictated by impulses. Instead, they train their heart to seek higher goals, knowing that every act of restraint brings them closer to Allah. And so piety is not just seen in how much you pray or fast, but in how well you guard your tongue and desire. It is in the discipline of the heart, the ability to hold back when it is easier to let go. Another sign of piety is the love a believer carries for the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran is not just a book of recitation, it is the ultimate guide for life. It is the voice of Allah addressing humanity, offering clarity where there is confusion, light where there is darkness, and comfort where there is pain. A pious person does not approach the Quran casually, as if it is just for ceremonial reading, but with reverence, hunger, and eagerness to be guided. They see it as a map for the journey of life, one that never misleads. When they open its pages, they are not simply reading words. They are listening to divine instructions that shape their character, their priorities, and their destiny. Loving the Quran is not only about reciting it beautifully, although recitation has its reward. It is about living it. A pious person tries to mold their life according to its teachings. When they read verses about mercy, they become merciful. When they read verses about patience, they practice patience. When they come across warnings, they take them seriously. The Quran is meant to flow through their actions, not remain confined to their tongues. This deep connection is a sign of a heart alive with faith. Alongside the Quran, the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam serves as the practical example of how to live by it. The Prophet was the walking Quran, embodying its message in every aspect of his life. From how he prayed, how he spoke, how he treated his family, to how he interacted with strangers, his life was a living commentary on Allah's words. A pious person therefore holds tightly to the Sunnah, understanding that it is the most authentic blueprint for a life that pleases Allah. When love for the Quran and Sunnah takes root, it changes a person's outlook. Their decisions are no longer driven by trends or desires, but by divine wisdom. They no longer measure success by the standards of the world, but by the pleasure of Allah. They become people of principle, guided by something eternal, not swayed by temporary fashions or opinions. The true sign of piety is when the Quran and Sunnah are not just in the mind or on the lips, but in the very fabric of one's life. Another sign of piety is compassion and justice. A heart that is truly connected to Allah cannot be cold towards His creation. Compassion is not simply feeling sorry for someone. It is the willingness to ease their burden, to step into their pain, and to offer kindness when it is most needed. The pious are those who do not turn away when they see someone struggling, whether that struggle is material, emotional, or spiritual, and notional, or spiritual. They recognize that every act of compassion is an act of worship, because Allah loves mercy and He loves those who show mercy to others. Justice, on the other hand, is what gives compassion its strength. It is easy to be kind to those we love or those who agree with us, but the real test of piety is to uphold fairness even when it is difficult, even when it goes against our own interests. The Quran reminds us to stand firmly for justice, even if it is against ourselves or our family. A pious person does not twist truth to gain advantage, does not oppress others to climb higher, and does not remain silent in the face of wrongdoing. They understand that silence in the face of injustice is a betrayal of faith. Compassion and justice are not limited to grand actions, they show in the smallest gestures. Greeting others with warmth, listening attentively when someone speaks, being fair in business, and treating workers with dignity, these are all signs of a pious heart. Even something as simple as removing harm from the road is an act of compassion. The pious see every opportunity as a chance to bring ease to others, no matter how small it may seem. True compassion is not selective, and true justice is not biased. A pious person shows kindness to the young and old, to the familiar and the stranger, to those who share their faith, and even to those who do not. Their fairness does not shift depending on who is in front of them, because they know Allah is always watching, and His judgment is the only one that truly matters. And so a heart that embodies compassion and justice reflects the light of piety in every corner of life.